Welcome to Fearless, Inspired, and Free. I'm your host, Dana Wright, and I am back for another amazing session with a woman who I do not know, was introduced through a mutual family member friend of ours. And I could not be more happy to have her on here today. I have Connie B. Tate. She is the founder. Well, let me tell you what she is. Let me tell you, because I don't want to get this wrong. Hold on. She is the founder, but inventor of the all new 3-in-1 hairstyling finger comb, Kwik Fingers. So besides being an inventor and being able to bring her product to market, which is amazing in itself, I feel like her story is amazing. I feel like there's something, little nuggets here that we can learn about and from her journey. And so I thought it was great. It fits right in with my, theme of women who are fearless. They have inspired themselves. They are inspiring others, and they're, free to be their authentic self. And so I think Connie really, really embodies that. And I'm so excited to have her here today. So Connie, thank you so much for sitting with me today.
Dana, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor and pleasure to be here with you and your audience.
Yes, yes. And you know what? They have been great. They love the story. So I'm sure I will get nothing but great feedback with yours as well. So, and if we can touch on one, like I said, if I would, if someone can relate, if someone can say, I see myself there, or, I've been there and now I was ready to quit and I heard Connie's story and I'm going to keep going. I've had people do that with some of these stories. So I'm excited. So, Connie, I don't know much except for your beautiful bio that you sent. And I'd like the listeners to hear a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up, where you're from, and your story, your young self, the story of your young self.
Yeah, so wow, it's been so interesting. I think, for me, I've always known that there was something that I was destined to do, right? I didn't know exactly what. And I think we all kind of get that nudge that, we're meant to do something in this world, even at a young age. And for me, it was around the age of 7 years old when I was standing on the ramp of Cabrini-Green project on the 8th floor. And I remember looking off of that ramp and I remember thinking and feeling uh, there's got to be something else. I just remember feeling that, and I was so young.
Wow.
And I'm looking down at the debris and the loitering and the littering and the fighting and the violence and the frustration, and just through such innocent eyes, I just remember having that feeling.
Wow,
And
that's
so for
amazing.
me, yeah, it was interesting because I had what I like to call a hybrid lifestyle. So I lived half of the time with my mother and my 7 siblings in Cabrini-Green, which is a housing project on the near north side of Chicago. And the other half of the time I was living with my father and my stepmother on the south side of Chicago. So I kind of like this to equate it to, if you're familiar with Good Times and the Jeffersons, kind
Absolutely.
of like that. Except my father wasn't a rich dry cleaner. and didn't have a, he wasn't a rich man, didn't have a dry cleaning business. He was a Kojic pastor. And so, you know, I think with that, you kind of go through this, you know, struggle of not really fitting in, right? You don't really feel like, you don't belong over here, with your mom and your 7 siblings because, you have this father who, is pulling you, and then you don't belong over here with your father and your stepmother because you're not her biological daughter. And so you're just looking for belongingness, right? And so for me, um, it kind of led me to spiral, right? And I started spiraling in a very negative trajectory. So I'm spiraling down and I'm looking for belongingness and I'm hanging with the wrong crowds. I'm just, kind of wild and rambunctious. And before long, I drop out of high school and I'm pregnant at the age of 15.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that was, life altering, for
It is, and I can relate, to some of the story, being young and, kind of doing your thing and against kind of what both, your parents are wanting for you and things like that. And, with me and my friend group, we had a touch of that in us as well. And also becoming a young mom, which is scary in itself. You're becoming a young mom, and now, and I want to go back to, you were young, you were 7, you felt, torn at this young age. You had, two different lives you were living and trying to belong in. And I feel like many people can relate to what you call belongingness, not knowing where we belong. And maybe not necessarily in your situation, but many situations, how do I belong? Where do I fit in? And you see that a lot in society today, and the kids struggling with that as well. But in your story, just kind of living those two worlds and then trying to conform and then get back into the groove of things when you come back and forth. But in all that, having a moment on looking down, looking at your surroundings and saying, I want more. And having that seed be planted that early, knowing that no matter what, you wanted more. I think
Yeah.
that's amazing for someone so young, so you're going through that, and now you're going to become a young mother.
Yeah, and about that, I think that we all kind of get that sense, of something, right? We have, I think a lot of times, we mistakenly underestimate the feelings and the thoughts of our youth. But they know, they can feel, they can sense, when something is not right or out of place or should be different or could be different, right? And I think that we owe our youth. Um, we owe them the benefit, right, of paying attention to them and listening to them.
And
So
what in thinking and saying that, Connie, when you say that we should give them benefit, did you ever feel like, yes, you knew you had something in your mind, or you were a certain way, or you may be against grain, and people maybe discouraged you from that, thinking they were guiding you the right way, not on purpose, but you know how people say, oh, you don't want to, oh, you don't want to do that, or oh, that's so weird because it's not, part of that culture. Did you get that? Is
yeah,
that
so I had a very untraditional trajectory, right? And with my parents, both of them were very strict, but they were very strict in different ways, right? And so, with my mom, she was, a very strong woman, being as strong as she can, raising 8 children in, Cabrini. And, so, we were on lockdown. A lot of times we couldn't just go out and roam freely and that kind of thing. And so, you know, um, we were in house and praying and doing things like that. And,
oh,
you know, um, that was that lifestyle. And then with my father, who was a Kojic pastor, who believed in fire and brimstone, holiness or hell,
yeah.
it was kind of like, no secular music, no lipstick, no
Wow.
pants, no this and that. So it was very different upbringings, but and I'm not complaining about them because they did both give me very solid foundations, right? Foundational principles and help to kind of set my belief systems and be aware, excuse me, of certain dynamics of life as it relates to my life. But at the same time, it's hard for you to formulate your personality because you do have so many varying influences, and you can't be vocal, and it's yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. You're taught to pull back, right? You're taught to restrain your thoughts and your ideas and things like that. And so um I've always, I always say, I've always had wings, and so I need to fly, right? I was one of those individuals. So, I think that had a lot to do with me feeling caged.
I
I
was
felt
just gonna
caged.
say that you sound like a caged bird.
Yeah.
You sound
Mhm.
like a caged bird in your story. Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And so, by the time I reached 15, and I wasn't wild to the point that I was, disrespectful and disobedient, but it was just, I was seeking knowledge and experiences, and I wanted to know what was going on in the world. And, you know, and I think that we have to have those conversations, because look what happened. I ended up pregnant,
Yeah.
um, and that was a whole experience in and of itself. My dad was furious. I mean, it was just a number of different things. And I remember feeling like I was a disappointment again. So you go through that. I don't belong here. I don't belong there. Oh my gosh, I'd have made this mistake, or seemingly, because my son was not a mistake, but
Yeah.
you feel that way. And so you start pulling back. But anyways, things.
Again, back in the cage. Back in
Yeah,
the cage,
but
right?
so here's what happened. So I'm 15 and I used to sing in the choir. So I used to sing, and my dad sat me down and was like, "No, you cannot sing in the choir anymore." And I was heartbroken, because music was my first love, right? So guess what happens? I turned to secular music because they would accept me. So before long, I'm singing, I'm in a girls group. We end up signed to two record labels, very prominent record labels. I was signed to Motown, and then I was also signed to Death Row Records, right? And I was on a roll, but I didn't have the support of my family, because they didn't support secular music. So I'm off and I'm doing this on my own, and that's pretty heavy, because you're dealing with contracts, and you're dealing with all these different things and people and personalities and behaviors. And, you know, the only reinforcement that you're getting is, well, you need to come back home. You need to come
Mm.
back home. Instead of, let me help you through this trajectory. Let me help you understand, what you're dealing with, what you're going through, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. Let's unpack it. And so, I enjoyed music, right? I just enjoyed music. I enjoyed what I was doing. I would do, I love singing. I love writing, right? So I was a innate writer, right? I was a natural born writer. And so, I moved forward, and, things just ended up going topsy turvy. The record deals, things fell apart, things blew up with
That's a
Death
tough
Row.
business I hear to be in the first place. I mean,
It is a tough business, and it's especially tough if you're a mom, if you're a young parent, and
so your son was with you on the road when you
so my
came on?
son was with me sometimes.
Okay, yeah,
But
that's
I was fortunate in that he had a wonderful father, and my son's father's family, and my dad, and so I did have support with my son.
that's
So that was awesome. And I was one of those young mothers, but because I was born so, I was raised so strictly, I was like, oh, my son could only stay with our immediate family, right? And
exactly.
so I didn't have like my friends and stuff watching him and babysitting. It was more or less, he stayed with his father's family, when I was traveling, or with my family.
That's a
But
blessing.
then
That's a blessing, to have
it,
that
it
kind of
is.
support that and I want you to continue, but I do want to know, why do you think why, and only answer, why couldn't you be in the choir? What is that?
Well,
Do you feel
my
like
father
that is,
felt that he was very, yeah, he was very devout, Christian, and so he felt that I was not living a holy life.
okay, okay, so it wasn't something with the choir so much as
Mhm.
it was just kind of all encompassing the life
Yeah,
and
yeah,
trying
he
to set
felt that.
things
Yeah,
straight. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Wow,
So
but you know what? I feel like that's a pivot, God, everything is for a reason. So wow, okay.
listen, and I had to respect. I was broken, right? I felt broken. I was hurt, but I understood. He has his assignment. So that was his assignment, and he was faithful to it. So the one thing I can say is that my parents taught me accountability, and they taught me to hold strong to whatever your belief system is. You have to walk dogmatically in that, right, and not be deterred just because it's your daughter or mother or so on and so forth. So it definitely taught me to be a strong, minded individual,
Yeah.
no matter what. And so
And it did take strength for you to kind of veer away from both sets of beliefs, actually. I
It
mean,
did.
your strength is showing through in your entire story, how, because some of us are so held by our parents or by those folks, and we do give up dreams and we do say, okay,
Yeah.
because we're trying to acquiesce, you're right. And it sounds like you're receiving it, but
Yeah.
your strength in your belief and in your core, you're like, I want to be free. I want to fly.
Yeah.
And so
I
you
need
just
to fly.
pivoted. You
Yeah.
pivoted.
And so, I did. And so what ends up happening is that I'm traveling, I'm experiencing the world. It's a wonderful time in my life, learning so much. And even with my music back then, I don't know how they're doing things now, but I was in a 5 girls group. We were singing 5-part harmony, which was unheard of at that time. We were also kind of like a triple threat because we sang, rap, and danced. And so, you really didn't have all of those dynamics going on. So it was a lot of rehearsal. So then again, there's a lot of discipline, right? So I had to be disciplined. I could not afford to just completely be wild, in the sense of just, with no structure. So there was always structure. That's what I'm trying to, I
And
guess,
you
point.
learn that, and you learn that in the music business, even still. Like, I think the
Yeah.
perception is with people from the outside who see the music business are like, oh, it's just a party. It's a party. I mean, we hear it's hard to be in it or break into it, but we're like, oh, life's great. Once you're in, it's a party. And
Oh my
what
God.
you're saying is, oh no,
Oh, no, no, no.
it is discipline. It is hard work.
Listen, it's almost unheard of during my time of entering the music industry to get 2 recording contracts. So get one is a feat, right? But to get 2, oh my goodness, that just didn't happen, right? So it you had to be something dynamic, and we really were. And so we're pressing forward. I'm living in California. We're now, oh my gosh, all of our hard work is about to pay off, and we're getting in the studio, we're recording, we're on multiple soundtracks and things like that. And then the unmentionable happens, and I'm back in Chicago. So, this is when, and not to get too deep off into it, but Tupac gets killed, Suge goes to jail. The label, we're new on the label. We're not really bringing in any money yet. So, they send everybody home. I'm back in Chicago.
It's chaos.
And not knowing what the future holds, right?
My goodness.
So to make a long story short, I end up homeless. I end up homeless. I'm sleeping in my car, my little, 2-door Cutlass Supreme that I bought with my, with my money. And this was my signing bonus. And it's in the heart of the winter in Chicago. And it was just a number of factors that led to that, but it was a hard time, right? So it was a hard time, and I felt like I was hitting rock bottom, right? And I didn't know what to do but to resort to what I knew which was prayer. And so I just remember crying, because you come back home, right? And so at this point in time, I'm probably 18, 19 years old. And I'm back home. You know what? I could have been about 21 actually.
Okay.
So I'm back home, and I don't have an education. I don't have any job experience. No, really. I worked at McDonald's and Burger King and things like that, but I don't have any job experience. And I don't have any money. And so it's like, wow, you think you're about to make it big, and you have these high hopes, and then you're just leveled, right? So I was completely leveled, and all I knew to do was just to pray. And I remember climbing in the back seat of my car, and I just remember bawling. I was just crying, and I just started praying, and I just said, I need some help. I need an intervention, something to happen here. And that next day, I met a amazing woman, and I'm so remiss in forgetting her name. It just bothers me that I can't remember her name. But I remember calling and I was like, I'm just going to call about this apartment. I had this list of apartments and I called in and she says, are you working? And I said, well, I was still getting, monthly stipend and monthly checks from death row at that time, but I didn't have any other income. And so she's like, come on, come and see the apartment. I came over and I met her and she said, you can have it. You can have the apartment. And it was probably to date, it was probably one of the most beautiful apartments I had ever had. I mean, it was huge and spacious. I mean, it had 2 bedrooms, a dining room, a living room, a beautiful kitchen. And I didn't have anything but an air mattress.
Oh my gosh. I know how that feels. I mean, when you're starting out, but I think it was I really think it was an angel. It
It was
really
definitely
did.
divine intervention.
I
And
love that. It definitely was. Definitely was.
and my life has been aligned with situations like that, where things just happen, like because I believe, in because of my faith, right? And I believe, because of my heart and my intentions, things like that happens to me over and over. I mean, I have countless events that I could tell you just happened like that. And so I was so grateful when I moved into that 2 bedroom, me and my son, and then my life just started to change. So I began working. So I began working in managed care, and I landed me a job working in healthcare. And you know, again, I'm leading the charge. I'm one of the youngest at that time. And, this was for me, right? I didn't have to be in the office. I could be out in the field, talking to people, networking, so on and so forth, telling people about their health and the continuity of it and all of this conversation that I was having with people that I resonated with because we were talking to, we were, in disenfranchised territories, right? Talking to, individuals who are on Medicaid, managed care. These were managed care programs. And so I loved it and I thrived in it. And so I'm making more money doing this than I was when I was in the music industry, right? And so I'm
Mhm.
providing more stability for my son at this point in time than I ever had in music. So I like that. And I like that, the feeling, right? But then I get struck, right? My conscience gets the best of me because I didn't have a high school diploma. You were supposed to have at least a high school diploma to be working. And again, that was another grace that was given to me,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't, right? I'm making over $100,000 at the age of 22 years old, and
Ooh.
I don't even have a high school diploma. And so what happens is I become afraid that I am going to have what I have worked for taken from me
Mm,
because what? I'm not solidified.
mm,
Right.
mhm.
And one thing about me is I'm a very genuine person and I don't like the idea of being disingenuine or being able to be found out or any of that. And so I was convicted. And so I made a decision. I was going to go back to night school. So this is after I've worked in a couple of years and I'm thriving. And at this point in time, I had worked at a couple of managed care companies, and I have headhunters coming after me now because I'm doing so well.
Wow.
And so, I decided I'm going to go back to night school. I'm going to go back, and I'm not going to tell anybody, right? So
I'm
I
not
tell
gonna
my
tell
father.
anybody. That is so, oh my God, that's
So he's the only person that knows, him and my son, right? That I'm going back to night school. Now, this is the humbling moment, right? Because you have made some progress in the music industry. You've had 2 recording contracts. You're working a job, you're making over $100,000, you're living a good lifestyle, you're driving a nice car, you have furniture in your home and stuff now, all of these little things. But I don't have a high school diploma. And so I have to make this decision on who am I, who do I think I am, that I'm about to go back to school with 16, 17, 18-year olds. I have to humble myself and go back, right? And I decided, you know what, I'm going to bite this bullet. I'm going to do it. And I had to get out of my own way. I had to get out of my own head. And I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back, but we have to understand sometimes we got to take a step backwards in order to really propel forward. It's like when you're about to take off, when you feel like you want to run a race, sometimes you step back and then you take off, and I needed to do that. And so I did. I think it was like an 8-week program or something like that. And so I did that. And I had my moment, Dana. I had my moment. I actually graduated. I was valedictorian of my GED
Oh
program.
my God.
And we had a graduation. And I felt so amazingly proud to walk across the stage, and my dad was there, and he finally could see his daughter graduating at the tender age of 23 or whatever it was at that time. And it was an amazing experience. And I used to have nightmares. I used to have nightmares about graduating because I never did, right? That was a nightmare that I would always have. And after I completed that set, I never had that dream again. So it's my subconscious telling me that I
Absolutely.
needed to do this. It was
Yeah.
telling me,
Yeah.
right? So that was amazing.
So
That was
you had to kind of, like you said, get over yourself, even though you knew deep down that this is something I need to do. I need to go back. I need to get this diploma. There was something in you, because now, okay, I'm in here with young people, or, what if I'm being judged? And we all go through that, right? We always feel, well, we don't always feel, but we have at times in our life felt like if I do this, everybody's looking at me, or, what will people think? And, you had to because you were still relatively young. And so when you're in your 20s, you still do worry about that quite a bit,
what do people think?
what do
And I
people
think,
think?
yeah, and I don't even think it's, I don't think it's even age related, right? I just think that as people, you want to be viewed a certain way. And, what are people going to think about me? And I think that's one of the most limiting mindsets that we can have, is what someone else is going to think about us.
When we talk about age, though, that to me, that is an earlier mindset. I feel like, once I got into my 40s or even 30s, I mean, seriously, 30 is a wake up call. And then 40s, definitely. It's like, you begin to care less about what, the optics or what someone might think, and more about what is going to make me happy. What do I need to do? What voices have I been ignoring? I've been through that. What am I ignoring? What do I want to do? And I'm going to move forward regardless. And, and just speaking for me sometimes, and it sounds like you were able to compartmentalize a little bit, more when you were younger. I have heavily parental influence, and felt like I did a lot of stuff because, oh, this is the path I should be on this path, And then as I, got wiser, I always say as I got younger, but we all know that's not the case. But as I got younger, I was like, you know what? I need to step out here and do some things for me. And what I am so inspired by your story is early you were like, I'm just gonna do it. Like, it wasn't like you didn't have a thought like, this might not, my parents, you were just like, okay, they are, but I got to do this for Connie.
Yeah.
And win or lose, I'm going for it. And I really admire that, because it takes people some time to get to that
Yeah.
point.
It does. And I also think, so I agree with you in part, because this is what I've realized, at least where I was concerned. It really depended on the place and the space that I was in at that time.
Mm.
Because when I leveled up, I had that feeling again. And this is what I mean. So after the high school, the GED graduation, I was listen, and remember I told you about these divine interventions that happen, right?
Yeah.
So I was offered a full academic scholarship to go to college, right?
Mm.
And so the plan wasn't to go to college. I never even thought about going to college. I only thought as far as I need to get my GED. And so when this opportunity presented itself, what? That feeling of uncertainty, fear and uncertainty triggered again, right? And I'm thinking, am I meant to go to college? Like, what is college? Am I college material? What do they do in college? I never knew anyone in my family who had gone to college. So
Mm.
we didn't have those collegiate conversations, right? We didn't have conversations about academia and things like that. And what you do with a college degree, and what the experiences have been in college. And that wasn't my life and my story. It was more, our story was more of survival and faith, right? And
Yes.
so I had to question myself again. What are people going to think? Am I really ready to go to college? And even though my scores, and I had always been an avid reader and writer, even when I had dropped out of high school, I loved reading and I loved writing. And I had to question myself, are you ready? And I said, you know what? I didn't see this, right? This wasn't my plan, but I'm going to walk through this door of opportunity, right?
Mhm.
Because I believe in opportunity and chance, right? And I believe that, no one can, no, you can get the opportunity, no one can give you the chance. You have to take the chance, right? You can be given the opportunity, but you have to take the chance. And so I decided to take a chance, and I
That's a
walked through
tweetable
that.
moment, as Oprah would say. You know that, right? That's a
Say that
tweetable
again.
moment. Say that quote again. Say that quote.
Oh, I said, people can give you an opportunity, but you have to take the chance.
There you go. That's a tweetable. Oprah would call that a tweetable moment.
A tweetable moment.
People will give you an opportunity, but you have to take the chance. I love
Yeah.
that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I had to tell
And
you.
so, because you've heard people saying, I need a chance. You haven't given me a chance. No one can give you a chance. You have to take the chance. You have to keep your eyes open for opportunities. And so I felt like that was an opportunity that, I didn't see, but it was presented before me. And so I went through that door of opportunity. Now, what I hadn't told you was, um, I dropped out of high school at the age of 15, but I tried to go back. So I had gone to several different alternative high schools. So I had gone to Nikola Tesla for pregnant girls. I had gone to Double E. I had gone to Benjamin E. Mays. And right when I was on the cusp of graduating at Benjamin E. Mays, I got kicked out.
Mm.
So I was shattered again, right? My hopes were shattered and broken. And that's really when I turned to music, and I put all of my focus and energy, because I was like, I'm over this education, this high school diploma. I'm over it, right? And I just put all of my energy and all of my heart and soul into music. And doors were opening for that too. But then that's when I was having all of those dreams, right? That I didn't graduate, I didn't graduate, I didn't graduate.
Yeah.
So at this point in stage, I have this opportunity to go to college, and I take it very seriously, right? I'm in class, first person there, last one to leave, raising my hand, asking questions. I'm involved. I got my highlighters and my notebooks, and sitting at the front of the class and listen, I'm here for it.
I
Do you
love
hear me? So
it.
I am here for it. I'm like, yes, I am taking full advantage of this opportunity. And so I took it so seriously. And guess what? Things started shifting. I'm in here and, I'm mentoring people.
Mm.
Me, the wild child. I'm mentoring, and I'm like, yeah, we can bring this C up in biology, and we can do this and do that. And I love that person that I was becoming, that people were seeing value, right, in my mind, right, and what I had to offer. And not that I had never had people value, because I was valued for my voice, I was valued for my writing, and I'm talking about, in in church, I was valued for singing in the choir, in secular music, I was a great writer and rapper, and managed care, right? I was at the top of my game, marketing. So I had a value, but this was different. This was more character based, right? This was my character is being seen, who I really am, my true heart, how I care for people, how I want to help people and be of service to people, you know. And so that was starting to form and to show through. And I loved that. And so I wanted more of that. And so can you believe if I tell you that, I go through my 2 years in community college, I attended South Suburban, and I was offered another full academic scholarship to university.
That is,
Do you see what I'm talking about?
you're
These
walking in your purpose, girl. You are walking in your purpose at this point. I mean, doors just fly open. They fly
flying off the
open.
hinges, flying off the hinges, Dana.
Yeah. You're open to it though. Like what I'm hearing is you're open to it and you're having this kind of an awakening of sorts. Like you knew there was value in things that you had to offer, the talents that you had in life and things like that. But you are having an awakening of self. You're open to opportunity. You're open to learning. You're eager. You're being of service to others. You're not just holding this awakening to yourself. You are sharing it, right? You are giving it to others. And because of that, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the universe reciprocates every single time. And listen to these, look at these doors opening. It's amazing. I mean, like you should, my heart's beating fast listening to this story because it's just like the momentum. I'm like on the walk with you. It's like
Yeah.
the momentum. I feel it. I feel it.
It's I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I said a high school dropout
Mm.
4 times over because I was, high school dropout, teenage mom, born in Cabrini, and I get a full academic ride to college and university. This just doesn't happen. And so I decide, yeah, I'm going to walk through this door of opportunity. Again, I'm going to take this chance. And I go to Governor State University. And I major in health science. And again, it was just an amazing experience. It was an amazing, I enjoyed college. I enjoyed learning. It didn't matter to me whether it was conventional or unconventional. It just mattered that I was learning something, right? That was important to me. And so I'm here and I'm doing my thing, at university. And listen, I think I graduated with a 3.8. I was very serious. And the only reason that happened is I was exhausted in my last semester. By then I was working, I'm a mom, I was just, I wanted to, but it was fine. I did my thing. But here's what happened. Here's what happens. I'm in class, we're getting out of class, and I see my former gym teacher, who was my gym teacher when I was growing up in the projects. And he was extremely instrumental and widely respected among all of the groups of people there, whether you were a gang member, whether you were, doing other things, he was widely respected. And I just remember going over to him and just saying, hi, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for all you did for our community. And, this is who I am. This is who my family was. And you were my gym teacher and so on and so forth. And he just had such a sense of pride overcome him. I could see it, I could feel it. And, and so I'm just sharing with him, like, this is what I've done. I'm sure I just completely inundated him. And he's just standing there and he's looking, with this great sense of pride. And I have this great sense of pride looking at him like, hey, you. And he's like, hey, you. And that kind of thing. And this former gym teacher of mine was the Illinois Secretary of State, Jesse White.
Are you serious?
Do you see how the world comes full circle?
Ooh, talk about a divine intervention and just, again, awakening and openness and just sharing your joy. And, you become a magnet for it. You attract it.
Now let me tell you about that moment, because during that moment, before I went over to just pay homage, right? To pay homage to somebody who had, which I think, this new generation has moved so far away from. It's all about them and they've done it all themselves, but they don't recognize others' contributions. And that's very dangerous. But, when I was about to go over and speak, I was walking to the car with a young lady, one of my classmates who we would walk to back and forth to our cars, and I was ready to go. She's like, girl, I'm tired. Can you see him later? Let's just go. And I said, bye. I'm going over here. And what if I hadn't done that?
Right.
So let me tell you what happens afterwards. Secretary asks, hey, what's going on? And I say, I need a job. And he says, okay, well, I go through the application process, and guess what? I get hired, and I'm serving, working my first state job, right? So now I have a good government job, you
As
know,
they say, as they used to say, that good government job.
a
Yes.
good
Yeah.
government
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And I'm a small fry, I'm a, working as managerial assistant and admin hearings but I'm contributing there, right? They asked me to write this, I think it was a dress code manual, and I took my job seriously. I write up this manual, and I'm taking my stuff home, and I'm researching, right? And I'm serious about writing this dress code manual. And so from there, again, value was seen. And
Yeah.
so before long, I become a trainer. Then I become a training specialist. And then secretary, hits me with a home run and says, this opportunity has opened up, and I want you to consider taking this job. And I said, okay, thank you, sir. This is a few years later. I've been working for Secretary of State's office now. And he says, I want you to consider taking it. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll consider it. And he said, no, I don't think you hear me. I want you to take it.
I'm not really asking. I'm like, here. This is
Right.
what you're gonna do
And I become the first African American to serve and work as director of one of the largest programs in the nation, with
now.
7.3 million Illinois residents to date. And it was just
First
such a
African
humbling.
American to work as a director in a position, in a
Yes,
director position for the state.
in that particular, yes, and for that particular program, yes. So the program has been in effect for 30 years, and I'm the first African American to ever serve in that position. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Look at God.
Can you believe that?
I'm
It's almost exhausting, right? It's just like, it's unbelievable. It's just remarkable when I just think about the favor, because it's really favor, because I believe I was obedient to my assignments, right? I was able to recognize these opportunities and to walk through the door and to do the work.
okay.
So a lot of times we're just expecting these miraculous things to happen, and opportunities to present themselves, but we think that we don't have to do the work just because the opportunity has presented itself. But no, we still have a responsibility to
To
show
move
up.
forward. That's right. Move forward. And it's not like you
I'm
didn't
sorry,
have
Dana.
these.
I noticed that my battery is low. Let me just plug in this.
Okay. And it's not like we didn't, it's not like you didn't have thoughts. Like you said, do I belong here? It's not like you didn't have those thoughts, but it did not stop you. You weren't deterred. You took those thoughts with you until they dissipated, until they disappeared. You didn't say, am I good enough? Let me just wait for a minute. You said, I'm a walk. I'm gonna move forward and
Yes.
bring them with. And then I see in your story, I see the things just fall away. I see the doubt fall away. I can see it. And anyone listening, hopefully you can visualize this walk. I can see Connie, I'm talking to Connie. I'm like my energy, I'm in it. But if you are really listening to the energy and the changes in energy as her story unfolds, you can feel it. And I feel it.
And this is what I believe. If the opportunity presents itself, you're most likely ready. You're
Mm,
ready,
mm.
right? If the opportunity has presented itself, it's because you are ready to level up,
Listen
right?
to that, listener. Do
And
you hear that? If the opportunity has presented itself,
yeah,
you are ready.
and I think that's what we talk about when we talk about um, what is luck, what is this favor, this abundance of favor, or things like that. It's when preparation meets opportunity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's when success happens, right? So you prepare at a level, and then opportunity presents itself. And so you take all of your preparation and all of your learned skill sets at that level, and you take it with you to the next level. And then you gather up and you learn everything that you can learn at that level. So then you take level 1, level 2, and you take both of those learned processes and skill sets with you to level 3. And then,
Go for it.
the trajectory continues on. So you have to know that even now, everything that I've learned from the time I was looking off that ramp at 7 years old until now have been subsets, and it's a culmination of learned processes, thoughts processes, ideas, contracts, work, character, all of these different things that
Yes.
you develop and you take it with you
Yes.
and
Yes.
you implement it. Don't just take it with you, implement.
So absolutely. So you are just taking everything with you and applying it as you walk through life. And you again are doing that while being open to the opportunities that may present themselves as you prepare and walk through life, as you stumble and walk through life, as you
Yes.
get up and walk through life. It all is the part of your journey and moving forward. And so you are one of these folks where I'm like, oh, I gotta get them back again. We gotta talk about other
I
stuff.
was just thinking
Uh,
that, Dana, because I know we're not going to have enough time to even talk about the process of inventing the comb. And that's a whole
Absolutely.
nother process.
Yes.
But
So, but what we have to end with how, let's get, so we will say, let's talk about and show people how you did this, how you walked through it. But we have to mention it. We have to, after everything you've done, and most people just say, hey, I'm successful. Hey, look at me. I'm in this position. I'm the state position. I am serving people. I am saving lives, helping to facilitate the saving of lives through my position. And that's great. I've made it. But no, that wasn't enough for Connie. So Connie took some other things in her life, so, some, and you came up
yes.
with a product. So tell us now about that, really, because I know we're going to have to do a part 2 or
So,
something. But tell us
so,
about this.
okay. So, excuse me. So what happens is I've always loved hairstyling. You'll see me today and I'll have this hairstyle. You'll see me tomorrow and I'll have a bob, right? So,
Mhm.
I just love switching things up. I've always, in entertainment, that's, one of the things that, you're into: fashion, hairstyle, makeup, things like that. And so I've always loved those things. Um, and so when I was younger, I couldn't really afford to get my hair done, right? So I learned how to style my own hair, right? And uh, just trial and error. You learn how to do certain things, and that's something else that I've always taken with me. And so I'm, you know, serving in this position, but I still like to do my own hair, and so I recall that there was this particular hairstyle that I could not do on myself, or I was having trouble with doing. And I had somewhat of a vendetta, because I was like, I've been styling my hair for years. I can't believe I can't get this bone straight look that I'm trying to get, or that I can get when, you go to the stylist and things like that. Um, and I just remember I said, there has to be some type of product on the market. There has to be something that can help me, accomplish this hairstyle that I'm trying to do. And so I went to look and I was researching and I couldn't find anything. And so, this creative mind of mine, I go into the lab, which is another room in my home, and I started breaking things and gluing things and sewing things together. And I come out and I have this apparatus, right? I just come out with this apparatus and I'm thinking, this is gonna work. And I remember showing it to my husband, and he's looking like, okay, well, what does it do? And so I take him through the process. And so I have this prototype. And so I reached out to one of the founders of a very prominent hair care company. And I remember asking, I say, I have this great idea for this 3-in-1 hairstyling, finger comb. And, I think you're going to love it. And I remember being so excited and, motivated. And he kind of, shut me down a little bit. Like, I've been in this business for 40 years. I've seen a lot of products. I'll let you know if it's a good product or not. And I said, okay, well, touche, you know. And so I sent it to him, and I was hoping to hear back, from him, from maybe 2 months, or maybe two weeks, or I don't know, 2 years, or maybe never. You never know how that's gonna go.
Hmm.
And he got back in touch with me in about 20 minutes and
Oh,
said, congratulations, you found a white spot in the market. How did you come up with this? And I just knew. I knew then. I was just like, this is one of those moments again, right? I just felt that. And that's how I moved. I just moved forward in faith. And in faith, and in prayer, to build this business, because another thing, uh, this was another process that I was about to go through, that I'd never been before, and no one that I had known had gone before me. Very
mm,
similar to college and high school, otherwise. So it's like no one else had gone before me in music. No one else had gone before me in college that I knew. No one else had gone before me as director, of a government agency. No one else had gone before me, as inventor or product developer. And so I'm taking these, huge steps in walking through these doors of opportunity, but I'm starting from scratch. And so, it's definitely, you have to have this self mastery, you have to have this desire. And I think it's an innate drive and this innate desire. And once you set your mind to it, you cannot be deterred. You have to complete. And I have this something in me in which I have to have completion, right? I have to go through it and say, I did it all. I gave it my best. I did everything that I could. So whether I make it or not, I can be okay with it.
yeah,
And that's the lesson that I learned with high school. So when I was having that dream, it was because I didn't have a feeling of completion. I didn't complete anything. You know what I'm saying?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
so I had to learn that I'm that person where I have to complete things. So and I think that works for me. I think that that's a strength that we all have, and we'd be surprised at what focusing on completion will bring us. The kind of satisfaction, the reinforcement, the success, for whatever your definition of success is. It may not be that you're a multimillionaire. It may be you completed your GED program.
Absolutely. Get to the goal line, finish it. Whatever you start, you finish it. And I've always told my daughters that, even when they have times where they're like, I want to stop here. I'm like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. You start something, you're gonna finish it. Whatever that looks like, you have to finish it. So I
Finish. I love it.
wholeheartedly agree. And I think this is a great place to stop, so that we can plan a part two. But I went out and got mine. So
Ah,
my,
Dana.
my 3-in-1. I've been telling everybody about this comb. I've been telling everyone. I went out to dinner with some friends, for birthday, for my husband's friend's birthday with their wives. And I said, I'm going to be having an interview and a new, segment coming out, and you all have got to see it. I got back, I sent them the link to the page,
Oh
and
my
it's
gosh.
so cool. And I told my youngest, and then brought it into her and showed her how to, put the pic, all of those things. So I'm very excited about you telling us, how you actually got this to market, because not a lot of people do this. And you have showed that you are not unwilling to roll up your sleeve at any point in your life. And so to me, you are a great inspiration because of it. I thoroughly enjoyed with you learning your story. So your story is amazing. And now we're going to get to in part two here at this. So thank you so much for
Thank you for having me. And so if people want to know, I mean, you may have those individuals who are saying, well, what did she even invent? And so Dana, first, let me just say that was a pleasant surprise. I did not know you went and purchased the comb. I actually was thinking, oh, I should have sent her the comb. So, the fact that you took the initiative to go and get it, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing it. And for individuals who are wanting to know, I'll just tell you a little bit about it now in preparation for our part two, which is that this is Kwik Fingers. So it's called Kwik Fingers. And if you guys can just see this, it's a finger comb. So it's a 3-in-1 finger comb. It is equipped with 2 dual side combs. One is a standard tooth comb and one is a fine tooth comb. And then we have the little surprise that she was telling you about, which is the retractable pintail. And so, it just helps to make hairstyling easier. I can style my hair in half the time doing it. And it's so versatile. You can do so many different things with it. And I want to show you guys some of the things that you can do. And I will show you that in part 2. But, it's great for silking out if you're going to silk press at home, or what we used to call just flat ironing, right? Getting bone straight hair. You silking out, you can finger wave with it. Guys love it to just remove the pintail, and they can just use it for their beards. It's a great beard comb for the men. It's just, some women are using it for twist and, doing their locks. It helps you if you want to just take down your braids, you can just, take down braids with it. It's so functional, so multifunctional. And so I just love this comb. And I would love it even if I hadn't invented it, but it's just an awesome, very relevant styling tool. So I'm looking forward to telling more about how I actually, the processes I actually went through to bring it to market.
And I can't wait. And really quick before we close, let everyone know the handles on social media where they can see your products so that they can take a look prior to our part 2.
Sure. So if you're looking to find out more about it, our links are at Kwik Fingers Comb on all social media platforms. So you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, all of those, LinkedIn, at Kwik Fingers Comb. And if you're looking to purchase it, you can purchase it on Amazon, and you can just search Kwik Fingers, or you can type in shopkwikfingers.com.
And that's Kwik, Kwik. So Kwik Fingers.
Thank you.
So all of the handles are there for you, and you can find this, and then you can listen to the story, because I'm interested in the process. Her life has been a process every single time. And please, tune in next time so we can hear her process for Kwik Finger combs. So thank you, Connie. So
Dana, thank you for having me. You are such a pleasure. We got to do dinner. I'm looking forward to doing dinner.
yes, absolutely.